anything, any confliction coming from it, it's not coming from my side. I was so civil.
Like 4 times. And he's been in the bottom 3 times?
I don't really know what I'm apologising for, and I can say one thing for sure. I'll be walking out that door before I apologise.
Oh my God, Will and Jesse were sweet. I really liked that. I think it was very creative of whoever came up with it. I think it was mainly Lana, but hey, that was sweet. But my focus was on Olivia and Kai. I am here for Kai. I am here for empowered and happy Kai. Oh my God, I love him. I love him. I'm so happy for him. Sana is the best thing that could have happened to him in the villa. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Season 9, Episode 35. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So the episode opens up with the girls getting ready for the night. It seems they're planning on talking to the guys that evening and sort of having conversations in regards what the Casa girls have told them. The guys are on their own, sort of chatting. Tom speaks to Shaq and sort of is concerned because everybody said Sammy was upset. And it's like, what did you expect? You let Lydia on and you made Lydia feel like you were going to choose her. You never once said anything about Sammy. So what did you expect? Will, on the other hand, is worried that he's back in the doghouse again. Jack is just is in the background, just doing her face, and it's like, I don't get why Will should be upset. And the fact that Jess is saying he was using the same words that he used on me, and it's like, no, no. You're picking up on what somebody else said. Will didn't use the same words. We never once heard him use the same playbook on Layla. It was Tom who did that. And so you can't take somebody else's issue and bring it on to be your issue just because you're looking to be offended. Tanya, on the other hand, is just Tanya is I don't even know what word to use that's not offensive. But the fact that she thinks that Shaq should change his red flags when she is the biggest red flag ever. She's been making out with other guys. She's been trying for connections with other guys. Shaq has never once, outside of Zara, when we were told that he might have a connection with Zara, he's never once appeared to be considering anybody else. So the fact that she's saying, oh, he's got his red flags that he needs to fix. And Lana said, oh, you're the issue. Yeah, she should have said a lot more. Yeah, give her that for saying, oh, you are in the wrong. But still, they should have said more unless it was cut out. After they get dressed for the evening. They go downstairs for their drink, and Sammy makes a toast about, celebrating that she's turning 23 and to finding out the truth. And Tom is taken aback. Well, Tom likes these girls that are fiery, so he can't be taken aback by the fact that, he was worried about Zara, saying Zara is too fiery. Well, it seems Sammy's the same way. So, he has to man up. He made a mistake. He has to own up to his mistakes and stop thinking, oh my God, what a toast. On the other hand, you have Will go up to the terrace with Jessie to have a conversation, and Jessie saying, she was about to tell him that she loved him. He says he knows she doesn't want to hear this, but he is falling in love with her. I have said this countless times. I'm skeptical about Jessie. Jessie has been on Love Island before. If she is really falling in love with Will, or if she really loves Will, then congratulations to her. But I somehow feel she's playing a game. I think um there's too much waterworks. I don't know her season. I didn't watch her season, so I don't know whether she was always crying like that. But I think she's now making a big deal out of something that wasn't that bad. I'm sorry to anyone who's been cheated on, if I'm offending you, but the fact that she's constantly crying, this is making the viewers sort of feel sorry for her. And I don't know whether she's going for the empathy vote or whether she really is this broken, because it's not like, as I said, it's not like they were exclusive, and it's not that they had said I love you to each other before going to Casa. The reason why I'm skeptical about her is some of the other islanders on their post Love Island interviews have said that they feel that she's playing a game, and they spent more time with her than I, who's just watches an hour here and there. So I have to go by what some of them are saying, and if she's in love with Will, then good for him. But I still have a feeling she's going to break his heart, and she's only doing this just because she knows what she's likely to get, in the sense that if she's moving to the UK, she'll be more popular with the fans, so she'll have a fan base She might win the show with Will and that sort of thing. So this is what I'm thinking. And then you have Claudia and Casey having a conversation. I think Claudia has no reason to be offended. Claudia and Casey had known each other for 3 days. They barely knew how strong their connection was. And for her to want to make a big deal, her situation is totally different to Jesse and to Sammy because they had been with these guys for longer than she had been with Casey. And the fact that it, it's a pity she was busy playing with her hair. She should have been looking Casey straight in the face when she was repeating what she had heard from Cynthia because you could tell Casey knew she was telling the truth. And the fact that, she said you told her you're sorry, and he didn't refuse that he told her sorry. He said I was sorry that she was crying. And it's like, why is Claudia making such a big deal about the apology? Oh, it seems like you're apologizing to her for not picking her. Do you think if Casey was saying sorry to Cynthia that he didn't pick her, he would own up to you and say, yes, that's what I did? No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. And I am really concerned as to whether Casey's really got a connection with Claudia, as I said before, or he's doing this because he knows Claudia is a celebrity kid and his chances of doing better on the show are highly likely with Claudia than they would have been with Cynthia. Casey could be playing the Looker game, Looker from last season. So I don't know how I feel about that. Lana is a little tattletale, isn't she? Anyway, you have Lana, Shaq, and Ron sitting down having a conversation, and then Lana brings up the fact that the girls have found out that Ron was an instigator. He was encouraging the boys to do whatever they wanted to do. And Shaq defends his guy, but there are clips from Kasamo where Ron was encouraging the guys to explore other connections. He encouraged Kai to explore his connection with Sana because he told her that Liv might be doing the same and she might come back with someone else. Yes, he was correct. But yes, he did instigate. Movie night, I hope the producers play that clip of Ron sort of instigating and encouraging the other guys to sort of explore their connections with the Casa girls. Tom has a conversation with Sammy. And for me, I think Sammy has the right to be upset. Jesse has the right to be upset. Claudia, yeah, but not as much of a big deal as she tried to make it. But Sammy has a conversation with Tom and asks him, Lydia told me you were 50-50 between me and her. And yet you downplayed your connection with her and you made it seem like it was nothing. And I think Tom knew he was caught. I think Tom knew he was caught. And this is what I don't get. These guys, some of these guys had stronger connections with the Casper girls, but chose to stick to their original girls. I don't know whether it's because they thought they were safer with them. Because Tom was very close to Lydia. They spent a lot of time, just like Casey spent time with Cynthia. And for him to then minimize it, knowing there's going to be movie night or knowing that these girls are going to see this, doesn't make sense. And the producers are messy for having the girls go and have a conversation, knowing that there's still going to be movie night, just as they were messy for letting the guys sit and hear the girls partying in Casa Amor. I have to give her credit because she is holding Tom accountable for his actions. Sammy walks off and the girls go and console her in the makeup room, and then she goes to have a chat with Ron. This is where I have a problem with Ron. Ron has been well behaved, in regards this couple all through Kasamo and after Kasamo. But I don't like the fact that he can't speak up for his boys, but he can't minimize what the girls were saying. What do they have to lose by telling the girls the truth? And the fact that Lydia actually minimized what happened between her and Tom, and then for Ron to say, don't listen to those girls, they got emotionally invested, the guys didn't. The guys got emotionally invested. How dare Ron try and speak on their behalf? He does not know what those guys are feeling. And so for him to turn around and say, oh, don't listen to the girls, they got emotionally invested, the guys didn't get emotionally invested, and hand on heart, I didn't do anything to egg the guys on. Ron, we were watching the show. We saw you encourage Kai. We saw you encourage the other guys. So for you to turn around and say, no, the girls are... He more or less said the Casa girls were lying. That's what he said. And I don't get why. I don't get what he stands to gain because there's still movie night. So whatever happened, Sammy is going to see it. And then Ron is going to look like a fool for lying on behalf of his mates, unless the producers choose not to put it in. The girls get ready for bed, and Jessie, mentioned that she's still sleeping on her own. Sammy says Tom is in the doghouse, so he's going to be joining Will and company. And Tom is speaking to Casey and he's sort of saying, I feel like I've said everything I needed to say. I just have to wait and see what happens. And I personally think it was great that Tom and Will got to sleep in the doghouse because then, Shaq didn't have to sleep on his own. He had company to chat with. And so the guys asked Shaq, and Shaq says, yeah, he's still in love with Tanya, but, you know, she's betrayed his trust and he doesn't know if he can forgive her and they can move on. And the guys are sort of saying, so have you spoken to her? And he said, no, I haven't spoken to her at all. And they asked, did she make any attempt to mend bridges? No, she hasn't made any attempt. And it's like, Tanya is too full of herself, isn't she? She's the one who made a mistake, but she's holding on to the fact that, oh, he's got these red flags that he needs to change. I've said this before. He's got his red flags. You have your red flags. You've got a wandering eye, madam. You're constantly looking at every guy. You've kissed every guy in the villa. You were flirting with Martin until you eventually kissed Martin. And so for you to turn around and say Shaq is the one at fault and you are innocent, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to anyone with common sense. So you need to make the first move. You're the one who upset Shaq, so you need to make the first move. Otherwise, that's the end of it. I wish Shaq could stay single, and I hope they bring in a bombshell, or else I don't know. I don't know what will happen. I think the only way he'll recouple with her is if he still wants to be on the show. But I really want a bombshell for Shaq. I really want someone to come in for him. I am sad that we haven't yet seen Kai and Sana. We only saw them in bed making out. I think Kai's on cloud nine. Olivia is delusional. Anyway, so during the morning debrief, everyone is talking about their relationships and what they need to change. And Maxwell says he's cuddling with Olivia in bed, and then Tom says, "Oh, we miss cuddling." To Will and I think Martin as well misses cuddling, and he's like, "Wow, okay, why not throw shade on him?" And then the girls are speaking, and sort of, you know, um, it comes up, with someone saying Kai looks very different, and Olivia's like, he looks awkward. And then Tanya had to speak up and say, no, he looks different because this is with a different person. And then Olivia's like, well, maybe I need to speak to him so that things can get better. And it's like, no, Kai is happy than he's been since he came into the villa. So you were the one that were bringing him down. Leave him alone. And Sana said, I don't want to keep him to myself. Everyone is allowed to speak to him. I'm not saying don't speak to my man. If you want to speak to him, speak to him. But the fact that Olivia thinks that she is the one that makes Kai very relaxed and very happy is like, ma'am, really? Nah. Since the two of you recoupled with somebody else, he's been happier than we've seen him in all his time in the villa. From the moment he met Sana and they started making out in bed, they're busy making out. I like the fact that Sana is not rubbing it in Olivia's face. She's just keeping quiet and allowing Olivia to live in her fantasy land. I'm surprised that in the morning, I think the guys must have spoken to Shaq because in the morning, out of the blue, he goes up to Tanya. She's in the pool and he says to her, I want you to be happy, regardless of whatever happened between the two of us. And he sort of tries to make her smile. And then she doesn't want to show him that she's smiling. I think she knows what she did is wrong. And the fact that Shaq has already said that Tanya is very stubborn, this shows in her actions because she then goes to the girls and starts crying and says, I still care about Shaq and, yes, we do have our faults, but I still care about him a lot. And she's sort of making it seem like she's done with Martin. The girls sort of say to her, you did bring Martin for a reason. You have tried to get to know him. And so it's up to you to decide, do you still want to be with Shaq or do you want to be with Martin? I wish they'd asked her, what is it in particular about Martin that you liked that made you bring him? Or did you just bring him just because you felt you wanted to get to know him more? Because I couldn't quite get the reason behind her bringing Martin from Casa. They didn't seem to have that greater connection. All he seemed to do was talk down about Tanya and Shaq's connection. Olivia sitting there with Maxwell giving commentary about everybody's relationships. Olivia always wants to be the center of attention, and when she's not the center of attention, she talks down about every other couple, and I don't get why. The fact that she felt that Claudia forgave Casey too early, and it's like their connection wasn't that strong. They were not, that serious at that point, so there was no reason for her to be upset, given the fact that she was entertaining someone. I agree with Maxwell that there was no need for Claudia to be that upset, and so her forgiving Casey was a given. And then you have Sana and Kai sitting and chatting. I said this before, someone in my comments agreed with me. Kai is happy, is on cloud nine. So now it's just after peace, and so she's trying to sort of broker peace between sort of Olivia and Kai, and she's saying, don't you think you should just apologize? I think she's just trying to make things cordial and not make things very awkward, because she's the only Casa girl left, and so Olivia can make her life a living hell, so she just wants peace to reign. And Kai's like, I am not apologizing to her. I am going to be myself. I'm not. And I think that if he's going to apologize, it's because Sana will have got him to understand how she feels, not because he really wants to apologize. He could just say sorry without meaning it anyway. So I don't get why he just doesn't do that. But hey, I'm happy for Sana and Kai. I hope they stay till the end. Oh my god, I'm here for Kai saying in this confessional he would rather walk out the door than apologize to Olivia. Good on him. Good on him. I wish more people would stand up to Olivia, because I think she's always been pampered and she feels like she's God's gift to everyone in the villa and they all need to walk on eggshells because of her. And I'm happy that he said, no, I'd rather go home than to apologize to her. I know Sonam tried her best to say, to make him apologize. I don't know. I think Will, I'm sorry, but I think Will has done enough apologizing, because he's there with Jessie. He's telling her he's sorry, and he's going to wait until she's ready to talk to him. He goes to Tom, they have a conversation, and they come up with a plan to get their girls back. And it's like, I think he's groveled enough. I think he's groveled enough. She needs to make up her mind and decide, Jessie, whether she still wants Will or she doesn't. Because I think it's gone on for too long. They were not exclusive. They were just dating. They were getting to know one another. It's not that deep. It's either make up or move on. And I don't think she's going to move on. I think she prefers to stay with Will, because Will is a better chance for her, for her survival in the villa than anyone else. And because she hasn't entertained any of the other guys, I think she might as well make the most of it and see where that takes her. That's just my opinion. So everybody preps for the night, and it's interesting that the boys are talking and Will is saying he wants to make Jessie smile. The fact that Sammy is saying she's still not ready to cuddle up with Tom because he omitted a lot of the facts. And Tom is trying to sort of psych himself up. My head is never going to turn, and it's like, Tom, if your head turns again, you're in big doo doo, because your head is turned for every single girl in the villa. How many more times can you continue to turn your head? This is it. If you turn again, people are never, no one is going to take you seriously. This thing, I called it, I called it, I called it. Anyway, so Shaq is having a conversation with Kai. He's talking about his feelings for Tanya and what's happening next. And then Tanya and Martin go up to the terrace, and Shaq is taken aback because he knows what happens on the terrace. People normally go on the terrace when they want to kiss. Martin and Tanya go to the terrace. They start having a conversation, and Martin is asking, I feel like I'm trying to fight for something that's not there, and I just need you to tell me what it is. I said this before. I said this. I said this. I said that if Martin is not careful, Tanya is going to lead him like she led David on, and then she's going to drop him at the last minute. And this is what has happened. He wanted to come into the villa. He's coming to the villa, and I have a feeling if she has to recouple, Tanya is going to go back to Shaq. Okay, so Tanya was complaining to the girls that one of Shaq's red flags was that he's very confrontational, and she didn't like him about that, and she wanted him to work on that. So she brought Martin, thinking Martin was the better guy, and now Martin is coming across as confrontational as Shaq, and Tanya is now having to play defense, and this is what she said she didn't like about Shaq, and it's like, was it really a red flag, or were you just trying to explore a new guy to see how that would go? Because you've left Shaq for someone that you thought was better, and look what's happened. The same faults that Shaq had are the same faults that Martin had, but Martin fooled you into believing that he was a better guy, and now you're back to square one. Tom then goes to speak to Sammy, and for me, I don't get how Tom gets all these girls, because he rinses and repeats the same thing. The fact that he says, "Oh, I really like you, and I could see us at some point." Keyword for me is at some point. what point are they going to have to wait for them to start working out in the real world? You should have said, I see us working in the real world, not at some point. Because if Sammy had not been so focused on the little poem that he was telling her, she would have asked that, what do you mean at some point? Do you mean we're going to go home, go to back to our own lives, and then at some point catch up and then start dating again and becoming serious? What do you mean? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I don't think there was anything special about this poem. I don't know why Sammy was so impressed. Maybe because he reminded her of their first meeting or whatever, and she said that's the best thing someone has done for her. And it's like, what sort of people are you dating that they can't do anything better than write a poem? The way Tom is so excited that Sammy has forgiven him, he's smiling all over the fella. And Sammy, they're back to square one. I don't know whether this means that, Tom will never make another mistake, but she seems to have forgiven him. She runs over to the girls, to Jessie, Claudia, and Sana, and she's talking about how happy she is that they've made up and about the poem that Tom had written. And it's like, I think Tom should have been more in the doghouse a bit longer, but anyway, it is what it is. And then Will decides to sort of. I like Will and Lana's friendship. I really love that because Lana sort of has a conversation with Will about his connection with Jesse and how he can make things up with Jesse, and so they agree that everyone will read out, what the thing that Will likes about Jesse, because he's trying to get himself out of the doghouse. And for me, my worry is I'm happy for the guys, but I'm worried about Shaq, who's going to sleep with Shaq anyway. So they have this conversation on the terrace. I think it was cute. I think it was cute the fact that Will got all 13 Islanders to read out something that Will likes about Jesse. And it was sweet that everyone was very happy for them and was willing to participate and was so excited. And Jesse forgave Will. It's really sweet. I really like it. My only hope is that Jesse feels the same way about Will that he feels about her, because I've said this before. I am really going to be heartbroken for Will if all Jesse was doing was playing the game. So I hope she's serious about Will, and she really loves him as she says she does. And I hope they can actually make things work once they leave the villa. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye everyone.